I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Today we're reading from the book of Luke, chapter 14, and let's focus on verses 25 and 26. Now the great crowds were traveling with him, and so he turned and he said to them, "If anyone comes to me and does not hate his own father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. Whoever does not bear his own cross and come after me cannot be my disciple." Now, I've been in the music business for almost 2 decades, and in that time, I've traveled worldwide. I've performed over 1,000 concerts, it's hard to believe, in all 50 of the United States. And from this unique vantage point, I've observed many different types of Christian congregations. I have heard a lot of crazy theology. And I've heard the things that some churches believe are requirements for salvation. For instance, some churches say that a person must simply believe in Jesus, while others require believers to be baptized. Still others demand a follower of Jesus speak in strange tongues, and the list goes on. There's even some churches that believe you have to handle snakes, and poisonous ones at that. No thanks. Well, I've never seen a congregation in all my days require its members to literally take up a cross as a sign of authentic faith and carry it around everywhere they go. But this is really precisely what Jesus is saying is a non-negotiable as pertaining to true salvation. He says, "Whoever does not bear his own cross and come after me cannot be my disciple." Now, if most mega churches in today's culture emphasize this teaching, well, I don't think it would take too much time for them to become micro churches. But actual crosses are in short supply these days. So what is Jesus getting at? Well, he wasn't telling people to become suicidal or sadistic or unloving or ungracious. Jesus was teaching those who were following him around that actually following him could cost their lives. You see, that is a probable cost of discipleship, and they should be willing to accept that. Even today in parts of the world, Christians are being killed for their faith, and being willing to accept that because, that's where Jesus was headed. And nothing, even the love for your father or mother, or even one's own life or the love for their children, should take precedence over loyalty to God. And put simply, we have to reprioritize everything that we have and acknowledge that if God is foremost in our lives, well, then worldly possessions and even social relationships must be secondary to him. He's not saying to not love your mom and dad or to not love your children, obviously, but what he's saying is don't love them more than me. His challenge would not be foreign, by the way, to the average religious Jew. Remember what happened on the day that the law was given by Moses? In response to Israel's worship of the golden calf, Moses saw that the people were unrestrained. They were out of control. And then he asked a simple question to everyone. And it was a defining question. And here it is. Who's with the Lord? I'm watching a whole crowd doing all this stuff. Who is with the Lord? Consider this from Exodus 32, verses 26 and 27. "And Moses stood at the camp's entrance, and he said, 'Whoever is for the Lord, come to me.' And all the Levites gathered around to him. And he told them, 'This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Every man fasten his sword to his side and go back and forth through the camp, from entrance to entrance, and each of you kill his brother, his friend, and his neighbor.'" Now, that was not without cause, right? Because he wasn't saying just kill your brother and your neighbor. The idea was whoever is involved in this apostasy within the culture of Israel must die. And it doesn't matter if it's your brother or even your friend or your neighbor. The Levites not only heeded the call, but they also obeyed the command. Not only did they come to Moses when he said, "Whoever's for the Lord, come to me," but they also obeyed his command. They put their faith into action to not let any relationship stand between their personal relationship with God. And the result was that 3,000 men lie dead by the end of the day. Because of their selfless faith, The Lord chose the Levites to be his priests throughout the generations. He chose them because they chose him. Jesus is not commanding his followers go out and start killing people. Rather, he is emphasizing the importance of us dying to ourselves and being willing to die for sharing the gospel so that others might live. So here's the big question. Is your relationship to God so important to you that you would follow him above all other relationships? Are you willing to choose to follow him completely? Because that is the type of a person that he's looking for. Someone to labor in his kingdom. And it is who he is leading us to become as we commit to walk closely with him in his word. I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Groundworks Ministries operates entirely through financial donations from faithful people like you. And your giving to Groundworks Ministries transforms lives. Would you consider making a donation to Groundworks Ministries today? Because we need your monthly support now more than ever. I cannot stress this even more. Every ministry that I am aware of across the country is suffering right now financially. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that people, give money. Obviously, whenever you give, that's a sacrifice. But even our sacrifices are often out of our own convenience. And if the sacrifice to the Lord starts to infringe upon, our lifestyle, well, then oftentimes people will stop giving. And I'm asking you to step it up because I think that's what the Lord wants. And donating is easy and it's secure on our website, groundworksministries.com. Another way to help is to tell people about Groundworks Ministries. Share these podcasts with your friends and family and on your social media. And of course, you can always direct folks to our website, groundworksministries.com.